Hi, a very warm welcome and thanks for joining us here at the Red Hills International Horse Trials for the CIC 3-Star in Tallahassee, Florida. We're bringing you the highlights of the dressage, the action, thrills and spills of the cross country, and then the stadium jumping live. We hope you enjoy the show.
Eventing's always attracted me. Probably most people would say the cross-country aspect of it. I definitely have a need for speed and chasing any sort of adrenaline possible. Dressage is maybe not one of the most exciting aspects of eventing, and I would say most people say they get through it in order to do all the fun stuff. But I have grown to have a healthy respect for dressage, and it's basically like horse dancing. Not just kidding, no, it is. But and it's like, I would say you compare it to figure skating probably a little bit, in that you have a pattern, you have to do it, and you get a score. And it's the only part of eventing where you get judged. It's not black and white, like if you're in cross country and you have a fall or you have a run out, you get amount of points. It's the part where someone's opinion matters about you, which, as always, can lead to a little bit of controversy. Different judges tend to like different things, so sometimes it's a little bit luck of the draw what kind of judge you have in an event. But I would say that it's the part that most people get through in order to do the fun stuff.
So the first combination we see in the dressage, in the 3-star, is Liz Halliday-Sharp. Liz riding Fernhill by night. This lovely bay had a great start to the season already this year, with a win at the Pinetop Advanced. They had a very good start to last year on the Sunshine Tour out in Spain. Already showing some great class to the very new 3-star test. Only came in to the system in the early parts of March. The counter, great lift in the shoulder, and then this serpentine down the centre line, right in front of the judges, and change on the centre line. And that new movement that's been in for a few years now and showed an awful lot of experience. Liz, now based over here in the States for the winter. She's made the trip over with her team of horses from the UK. Well, this looks to be scoring very highly indeed to the last half pass. Liz herself an adrenaline junkie by admission. She's a race car driver, also a commentator and presenter of the fast cars. No stranger to the world of speed. So into the final medium canter, extended canter on the half circle before that turn down the centre line, and this looks to be in the high 80% mark, which will get her the low 40s. And a very nice test from Lauren Kiefer. Lauren riding the 9-year-old Warm Blood Chestnut Checkmate, just 1.3 behind Liz. Well, it doesn't always go to plan, and it was a very hard day at the office for Jenny Barnstrom and Cape Town. The bay gelding not settling to the task in hand in the dressage, and she did well to complete her test, but a few mistakes and a couple of errors on course saw her at the bottom of the leaderboard. In 5th place, with 2 in the top 5, was Marilyn Little with the Raylin Farms RF Quarterman. 4th place also to Marilyn Little and Team Demeter's RF Demeter. Into the top 3, and she's got 2 horses in the top 3, Elizabeth Halliday Sharp and HHS Cooley, owned by Deborah Halliday. In 2nd place was the lovely Chestnut Checkmate, owned by the Ramseys, Court and Kylie Ramsey, Lauren Kiefer on board, and the leader, also owned by Deborah Halliday, was Fernhill by Night, the 17-hand 12-year-old Irish sport horse, on a score of 41.4, just 1.3 penalties ahead of Lauren Kiefer on 42.7 as we move on to the thrills and spills of the cross country.
Yeah, I was really pleased with both horses. I think they tried really hard today. It was really, really cold when I did my test on Blackie, and he felt like he was feeling a little bit of that. But yeah, I think there were a couple little mistakes in each test that could have been tidied up. But for the most part, I was really pleased with both of them today. I think it was kind of fun to ride the new 3-star test as well. I enjoyed that. Kind of nice to have something different when we've all gotten so used to a lot of the old tests. So yeah, I think both horses feel pretty good and ready to run tomorrow, so I hope that's the case. We'll soon find out.
Talking about the course, Liz, you walked it yesterday and again today. What are your thoughts?
I like it. I think the ground's going to be really, really good. I know it was dreadful for those of us that were riding, especially for Marilyn, who's doing a test in the monsoon, but I think the monsoon helped the ground. So yeah, I think up from that side we're pretty lucky. It's got a lot of terrain, lots of hills, sort of through the woods and everything. It feels a lot like a French course to me. Which is kind of cool. And I think there's some decent questions. I don't think it's overly huge, but there's enough questions for the horses, and I think the terrain makes some of them more challenging than they maybe would have been. So there's plenty of places where we'll have to be on the ball, but I'm looking forward to riding it. I think it's going to be great, and it's my first time ever at Red Hills, so it's a pleasure to be here and be great to go out there kicking for the win.
I'm Buck Davidson. I ride 7 or 8 horses at Red Hills this year. You know, the beginning of the season is not all about winning and losing. It's more about, you know, progressing so that each horse is really ready for the big competition. You know, Red Hills is sort of the start of the bigger competitions of the year. And then we go on to North Carolina for the Carolina International. And then, you know, the big horses are getting prepared for the Rolex Kentucky 3-day event at the end of April. Red Hills, for all the American competitors, is the first big competition of the year. It's the first international competition. It's, you know, the guys from the north and the guys from the south kind of meet. And it's where we start to see where we stand up against the rest of the country. And Red Hills is a great atmosphere for our owners. They really enjoy all the festivities, all the people, all the crowds. And it's been a great event for many years, and hopefully for many years to come.
We've caught up with course designer at the Red Hills International, Hugh LaCour. Hugh, this is an amazing park here in Tallahassee. Talk us through your inspiration and your thoughts behind the track.
It's a beautiful open piece of ground with the oak trees that are synonymous with this area, and it's just lovely to be able to work with the kind of terrain and the natural features of this North Florida area. It's a lovely park, as you say. The first 4 fences really lead them into, 4th fence and maximum spread. It really leads them into the first sort of the meaty part of the course, that first question, which is the owl in the middle of the arena. It's very atmospheric. It is an owl hole, which often confuses 1 or 2 horses. It's quite a picturesque owl hole jumping right towards the sponsor's tent, just on its own in the middle of the main arena. It's pretty dramatic, I think. And then we head out 6, 7 angled doubles at the angled offsets at fence 8 will cause a few problems. Hopefully they're right in their stride at that point, and so it's a good place to ask the first serious question. We run on down the hill. That starts to get them away from the public. We've got some island fences, that double of corners coming up after that. That's going to ask a few questions, and then we go off on a loop away from the public, down into the sort of wooded areas. They just amble through the oak trees and pine trees. It's really nice. Through the Shire, which is another complex at fence 12, I believe it is. So we separate the complex areas up with 2 or 3 island fences in between. They can be bigger fences. They're just the non-complex fences. As you get later on in the course, we put the water jumps towards the middle and the end of the course, because by then the horses are really going, and you can ask much more questions at those dramatic. That's where the crowd like to hang out, and that's where you get the drama. So we can ask bigger, bolder questions at those water jumps if we put them a bit later on when the horses are really getting a good feel for it.
So some technical questions followed up by hopefully some nice bold jumping elements just to get them back into their strides. You've got some great feature fences here as well, and none more so than here. Talk us through this.
The steps, yeah, this has turned out really nice. We're really pleased with this. It was an overgrown, you couldn't even see the oaks a couple of years ago, overgrown area. We came in with a bulldozer, cleaned it up, knocked up some steps, and this is a crowd favourite just because it's a really pretty look. It's a great, and it's a challenge. You got to double bounce there, bounce the steps followed by the brush. It's a good strong test for the 3-star horses.
So a good question, and midway through your
right in the middle, yeah, of the course. So.
But a longer route?
Yeah, there's an alternative. It's more that we have to give them an alternative to Part C. If they get up A and B and they can't get over C, there's no way of getting back at C in this type of complex. So you give them a get out of jail card. They'll incur 20 penalties, and then they have that get out of jail card. It's not like that's the end of their day. They can go over an alternative and move on. They can't get to the alternative first time round. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, warm welcome, and yesterday's cross country was set fair. Really amazing weather, nice and cool, just a bit of breeze as well for the competitors over Hula Hawes. 3-star track. The distance of the 3-star was 3,785 metres. Optimum time 6:39, with these horses travelling at 570 metres per minute to get the optimum time. Lauren Kiefer and Checkmate clear of the first 3. Unfortunately, the overnight leaders from the dressage, Liz Halliday Sharp and Fernhill by Night, had early problems on the course and retired. So their chances of a win here in the 3-star already gone. So the first of the real problem fences, it was the Little Brown Owl in the main arena. It caused some trouble for the competitors. It's a very small hole to jump through, but Checkmate looking absolutely full of running through the main arena. Lauren, a very experienced rider, got a great team of horses, taking a very good line through and under the trees. It's a new track, and the ground ever improving. Lauren Kiefer and Checkmate coming through the angled houses. Lovely little chestnut horse this. Checkmate, 16-3, warm blood, 9 years old, owned by Corton Kylie Ramsey. Ramsey's great supporters of Lauren Kiefer. Really stands off. And through the trees they go again. They continue winding their way through. Gets a reminder from Lauren. Just says, come on, wake up. More questions coming. To the bounce combination up through the trees. And it is quite an undulating track here. The hammock. Another big maximum fence with a drop. So as she winds her way through the trees, she'll be coming now to the first of those water complexes. The hammock at fence 17, the hog house is next for them, then the sawgrass water. So just coming now to the water, onto the bank, sits back, slips the rein. It'll stumble on landing, but sits very tight, and then very easy just to leave a leg on the D element of the water. But Checkmate really jumping well with Lauren Kiefer. So away from the water to the far at 20, 25 numbered fences. Very big fence. The Goliath Gap at 22. So into the main they come. Over the Pergola Perplexa, then the Nature's Circle water, and another opportunity at the Butterfly just to leave a leg. Lauren Kiefer kicks on for home. One left to go. It's the Hay Feeder at 25. That optimum time of 6 minutes and 39 seconds. Quite a difficult time in the 3-star, over the last and across the line. Liz Halliday Sharp and HHS Cooley. Liz, as I mentioned, overnight leaders after the dressage, did have early problems with Fernhill by night, and they did retire. HHS Cooley, Irish sport horse owned by Deborah Halliday. Lovely grey, 16.3. 11 years old, from Rancho Santa Fe in California. Liz herself a race car driver and also a presenter and commentator of the world of race cars. No stranger to danger, Liz Halliday Sharp. Now based over in the United States, back in the United States for the winter, and then we'll relocate to Great Britain again. Liz, really experienced rider. Rode a beautiful test. You probably saw that in the intro with Fernhill by night. They had a win at the Pine Top. They had a win in the combine training, combine test at Ocala back in February, but didn't quite go to plan for her across the country. But a much better round so far with HHS Cooley. Always a good test, the 3-star here, and Liz Halliday Sharp through that combination of houses. So through the trees they come. And we saw Hugh Lahore here with his interview, The Stairway to Heaven at 14. Maui Jim, bit of a tack malfunction going on there by the look of it as well, as they come to now the hammock. Big drop on the landing. That certainly won't be helping her. Very big pulling horse, HHS Cooley. A lot of Irish sport horses over here in the States. So to the first water. Pops the brush onto the mound. Liz sits tight, slips the reins. It's a big drop off, and then just picks up the knitting. That's the reins, and away over the upright fence. So a great round so far for Liz Halliday Sharp and HHS Cooley. Long striding horse at the Goliath Gap, and it's a very big ditch. Hugh Lahore has certainly made his stamp Been designing here for quite some time now. Lives over here in the States with his family. Another stumble as they come to the second water. Over the log. Sits up. Pops over the butterfly. And it's an endangered species here. Jenny Brannigan away with Cambalda. Jenny, another rider. She's got a lot of good horses. Jenny Brannigan and Cambalda. Clear of the first three. That's the Olympic bench at 3. Really gets the horses into their strides. Jenny herself ranked 58th in the world. Cambalda last year in October won the Fair Hill International. Well, just gets a reminder from Jenny, and another one. Just not all the time listening to her. It's quite difficult to keep the horses' concentration as they go in and out of the trees. The light to dark, the mottled sun is just all over the place, and the horses' eye adjustment just changing all the time. Jenny Brannigan and Cambalda takes the flag at the corner conundrum. That corner conundrum really also caused a lot of problems in the 3-star. Turning to the park gates. Now the houses under the oaks. She's having to work very hard indeed. Around the corner they come to Stairway to Heaven. Bounce, bounce, and another one. There is a longer route there, but not many people took that longer route. Jenny with the 16 to 13-year-olds. Another Irish thoroughbred from West Grove, Pennsylvania. Owned by Nina Gardner. Down to the first water. Setting up for the brush. Pops the brush. Look of concentration written all over Jenny's face. Just pops down the bank. Then really has to sit tight as Cambalda leaves a leg. But sitting very tight and stays in the plate. That's the saddle. She stays in the saddle. Very lucky moment there. That's one of her lives gone, I would have thought. Cambalda not giving her the easiest ride. So to Goliath's Gap. And kicks on away. Jenny Brannigan and Cambalda to the Pergola Perplexa under the roof, and then they gallop through the main arena. New surface here in the main arena. Just hanging back to the stables a little bit. You see the stables under the tented village just behind her, but keeps a line, jumps a very nice line, then back to the butterfly. Marilyn Little, Marilyn with R.F. Quarterman, the Raylin Farms R.F. Quarterman. Jumping the first, now the second. Just some nice fences just to keep these horses up in the air before the real tests start coming, and they come thick and fast. Marilyn is 16th, ranked 16th in the FEI World Rankings. She's been to the World Equestrian Games last year. Another one with a great team of horses. RF Quarterman and Marilyn Little from Frederick. RF Quarterman, owned by the Rainin Farms company, Oldenburg. Just 7 years old, quite young for a 3-star. Ducks under the trees. RF Quarterman then, the 7-year-old, still going very well. And Marilyn's a great rider across the country. She gets her horses into a lovely rhythm, gives them lots of confidence, jumps out of their stride. So through the combination of the houses, little drop on the landing, quite undulating ground, and since the cross-country course has been moved over, all under the same roof now, if you like, in the same area. The cross-country used to be the other side of the road here at Red Hills. Much more galloping stretches in the cross-country. Jumping the hammock, very big fence under the trees. Marilyn Little coming down to the first of the waters, up onto the bank, keeps riding. Another one just to land quite a long way out in the water. Pecks on landing, but picks up the reins and rides to the final element. Quite an upright fence in the water. So through the trees they come back towards the Goliath Gap. You can just see RF Quarterman having a look around, saying, "Which way, mum?" Can be quite disorientating for the horses. So past the stables to the final few jumping efforts. It's the Pergola Perplexa under the roof, then setting up for the final water. Nature's Circle over the log to the butterfly, and the butterfly, as I said, an endangered species here in Tallahassee. Alexandra Knowles away with Sound Prospect. Sound Prospect had a good dressage on that was yesterday, in fact on Friday, yesterday, Saturday cross country day. We're just bringing you the top 10 from yesterday's cross country. So through the main arena for the first time, Alexandra Knowles. Sound Prospect, 16-1, 17-year-old from Paris, Kentucky. And Kentucky, of course, with the 4-star coming up very shortly indeed. Alexandra to the corner conundrum, keeps the line, gets a very well-deserved pat from Alexandra. Sound Prospect not as young as we've seen some of the horses. Marilyn Little's 7-year-old RF Quarterman, this 17 years old, through the undulation of the houses. As they gallop through the trees, come round the corner to the stairway to heaven. Very big steps, bounce up, no jumping strides. Holds her line beautifully as they now come to the first. In fact, they're just at the hammock at 17. Alexander's riding a very sensible round. So now coming down to the water, the Sawgrass water. Is sponsored by Beachview Event Rentals and Design. Onto the bank, off. Well, that was very clever, and you can just see the experienced 17-year-old there, not jumping out too far, just popping off the step back into the water, conserving as much energy. He knows the drill, being very clever with his feet to Goliath's Gap. So well on their way home. The Kate Ireland Foundation supporting Goliath Gap at 22. So into the main arena they come. The Pergola Perplexa. Just seen a few horses duck under there. And then the Golden Banded Skipper. Golden Banded Skipper, very rare butterfly throughout its range in the eastern United States, and protected here in the Tallahassee Park. Well, we're back, and Eleanor McPhail is away with True Dynamite. Eleanor clear of the first. The log frame, then to the produce stand. And it's the Olympic bench. The Olympic bench, another one just to get these horses into their stride. So you can hear a lot of action on the ground. Are a little bit behind schedule. There's been here in the park at Tallahassee, but we bring you the show live. We may even bring you the top 20 from the show jumping. So that was bargained for. We hope you're enjoying the coverage so far and the wonderful scenes here of yesterday's cross country. And Eleanor McPhail and Sound Prospect on course. Sound Prospect. In fact, True Dynamite is Eleanor's True Dynamite. 16-3, 13-year-old, owned by Eleanor herself. So through the corner conundrum is Eleanor McPhail, True Dynamite. You can just see the sun was out. It was a warm day. Ended up being a very warm day indeed, and the shadows causing all sorts of problems as they come round to the stairway to heaven, pop up the step, bounce the brush, and then back into their rhythm as they now come to the hammock at 17. See the width of that fence and a big drop on the landing, and Hugh Lahore, we spoke to him about that fence, and just the turn and designed just to slow the riders down a little bit before they come through the trees to the water for the first time. 2 sets of water complexes here at Red Hills. Jump the brush, run through the water, up onto the island, back into the water again. Well, a neat jump at the DL of the water for Eleanor McPhail and True Dynamite from Johnstown. Goliath's Gap, big yawning ditch. Eleanor McPhail coming to the Pergola Perplexa. That was a bit of a mouthful. I can go, sponsored by the City of Tallahassee Parks, Recreation and Neighbourhood Affairs. Well, very pleased with their jump through the water, Eleanor McPhail and True Dynamite, as they now power on to the last. The hay feeder at 25. It's been a great round for this combination, as Elisa Wallace is away with Simply Priceless. Elisa really enjoying her time here at Tallahassee. Clear of the first two across the country. Simply Priceless is an Australian thoroughbred owned by Jill Hopcroft from Jasper, Georgia. 16-3, 14-year-old. Elisa Wallace through the owl hole in the main arena. Simply Priceless leaves the main arena for the first time. Well, looking very confident so far, riding a really good round. Simply Priceless. Ears pricked. They come through that very tight combination. So to the corner conundrum. Elisa Wallace. Elisa, Simply Priceless, still galloping on strongly, still looking very keen as they round the turn to the Stairway to Heaven. Bounce up the step, and another one. This jumped very well, and I think Hugh will be absolutely delighted with that fence. It was a feature here last year, and just slips on the turn away from the hammock at 17. Simply Priceless then through the trees as they come to the first of the waters. You can just see there the new grass that's been planted on the course. Ground ever improving here, and the team at Red Hills done an amazing job. So back into the water, and a good jump at the D element. Didn't look like he was going to touch that at all. Just give a shout to our friends at home in the UK and to Event Riders Association, who have been working tirelessly with the frangible pin rule, 21 penalty rule, and you can find all their information if you Google ERA, Event Riders Association. We'll find them on Twitter and Facebook. And there's a great petition there to fill in and support the ERA guys. Bruce Haskell working tirelessly, the chairman of ERA. Elisa Wallace and Simply Priceless through the water for the final time. Then they gallop on to the last. Well, Caroline Martin, Caroline and Quantum Solace, they start their round. Caroline building a great team of horses. Clear of the first three. Caroline ranked 56th in the FEI World Race. Quantum Solace was 6th in the 3-star at Fairhill back in October, and they were 10th at the Plantation 3-star in September last year. So a really good career so far in their 3-star. Caroline with her own and mother Sherry Martin's Quantum Solace, an Argentinian thoroughbred, 16-1 10-year-old. Caroline from Springtown, Pennsylvania. Got a very good head on her shoulders. Cool, calm and collect. Lovely position across the country. Sits in the middle of the horse. So Caroline Martin and Quantum Solace through the houses. Shows a great deal of maturity across the country, Caroline, as she comes to the stairway to heaven. Beautifully up the stairway to heaven. So they come off that right-hand turn now to the hammock. Very wide fence. Great use of the trees. The Spanish moss hanging from the trees. Makes for a beautiful picture. Really is a stunning park here in Tallahassee. Caroline Martin and Quantum Solace down to the water for the first time. Up onto the bank. Jumps quite a long way out. Oh, and then really hits the top, and Caroline did very well to stay in the saddle. Quite lucky that Quantum Solace just picked his head up at the right time and pushed Caroline back into the saddle. She'll be thinking herself very lucky there that she didn't just tip out the side door. And under FEI rules, it is elimination if they part company. Well, along past the stables they come into the main arena now for the final time. It's the Pergola Perplexa at 23. Just see him, just ears go back, just duck under the roof. To the water now for the final time. Caroline kicks on. And jumps the last part of the water. You can now just hear the national anthem of the United States of America being sung beautifully in the background. From Canada, Selena O'Hanlon and Foxwood High. They'll be next to get underway, just starting her watch. That optimum time, 6 minutes and 39 seconds. Well, a great touch there here at the Red Hills International Horse Trials as we go back to the action of the cross country. And it's a just through the main arena for the first time for Selina O'Hanlon and Foxwood High. This Canadian sport horse from Canada herself, Selina, and the 17 to 11-year-old Foxwood High, owned by John and Judy Rumble. Great crowd here supporting the cross country yesterday, and even more have filled the stands today for the show jumping, which we're going to bring you live a little bit later on. Just ducking under the Spanish moss, then coming to the angled corner conundrum. Very straight line from Selina O'Hanlon. So still going very well and confidently. Just picking them up as they come to the houses on the undulating ground across the road. Very neat. Very quick and very clever with his feet. So they'll come round the corner now to the stairway to heaven. They bounce up the step and again, and then bounce to a brush. It's an angled brush at the top of the steps. No margin for error. Very confidently up the steps as they now come to the hammock. Just sits back and drives. Really, really riding hard. Jenny Autry there from Eventing Nation, just checking her camera. Selina O'Hanlon and this lovely bay. You can just see grease on the legs of this horse. Just a added thing, just a safety thing. If the horses do touch anything, they slide over rather than hit them and cause any injury. And you'll see quite a few horses wearing grease. So really kicking through the trees now as they do the Goliath Gap at 22. Selina O'Hanlon and Foxwood High makes nothing of the big ditch. Past the stables they come into the main arena then. The Pergola Perplexer. And just see the shadows on this fence. Easy jump back into the water. Just loses an over each boot there. You might have just seen that fly off. Undeterred, Selina is galloping to the final fence. Caroline Martin then and Pebbly Maximus. Pebbly Maximus campaigned in the UK for much of his career, and now based with Caroline. So Caroline Martin will be the last combination we see across the country. Caroline and Pebbly Maximus were 14th in the CCI 1 Star at Bromont in June last year. They made the step up star station, and here now in the CIC 3 Star, Caroline Martin and Pebbly Maximus set fair on their 3 Star campaign. Pebbly Maximus, another Irish sport horse, owned by mother Sherry Martin, 16-3 12-year-olds. Well, she held a very good line through there. Pebbly Maximus just thought about having a little jink in the middle, but Caroline holding the reins, nice, keeping in between hand and leg as she stayed on a very straight, tight line to the corner conundrum. Jump the first, takes the red flag on the first element, then gallops on strongly. The ground very well, Pebbly Max. Caroline and this lovely chestnut, ears pricked, looking for the next fence. Through the two houses. So they'll come now to the stairway to heaven. Just around the left-hand turn, setting up Pebbly Maximus to the bounce. It's a very imposing looking combination running up the hill, but making light work of it. Under the trees, you can see the monkeys hanging from the trees. Caroline won't have time to have a look at the decorations, but beautifully dressed fences here at Red Hills in the north of Florida. Pebbly Maximus, and this is the first one with the flare strip. You can just see the strip on the nose of Pebbly Maximus, and that designed just to allow a bigger intake of air. Pebbly Maximus a swish of the tail, and away they go to Goliath's Gap. Very big open ditch and a log. Easy work. Into the main arena then for the final time, and this is the last one we'll see come through the main arena. Stands off the Pergola Perplexa, just setting up for the water, then pops the log, and the butterfly jumped very well on average, the butterfly all day, as they gallop to the final fence, the hay feeder at 25. Caroline Martin then and Pebbly Maximus, but didn't quite go to plan for all of our riders here at Red Hills. Marilyn Little, the first we see, just catches the top of that fence at the first water, and out the side door she goes, none the worse. Buck Davidson, 9 rides here throughout the 1, 2 and 3 start, but not quite locking on to the final element, and then Buck deciding to retire. Caroline Martin, we saw her come through this water, this a different angle, and you can just see how tight she had to stick, and did very well to stay in the plate. So we're now live here. So Caroline Martin next up to jump with the lovely chestnut Pebbly Maximus, owned by Caroline's mother Sherry. This is a horse that's over from the UK.
Yes, it is. I believe she got it about a year and a half ago. Caroline is one of the best up-and-coming young riders.
And on course
really
now is number 112, Sherry Martin's Pebbly Maximus, a 12-year-old Irish sport horse gelding, ridden by Caroline Martin from Springtown, Pennsylvania. They were 13th after the dressage, with 51.8 penalties, no jumping, and 18 time on the cross-country for 70.2.
So we're trying our best not to talk over the commentator.
Vilas County and Werner Gaven
here
have a 3-day score of 92, and we will need the top 16 back for the awards, please. Top 16 back for the awards.
So Caroline riding out of order. She's in 10th place with Pebbly Maximus. You have already seen her cross-country round, and it was a great cross-country round. And she is, Max, she's a great rider, and not just, you know, you've got to be an all-round rider as well. You can't just be good at the cross-country. You've got to be good in the dressage, good in the show jumping, and good in the cross-country. And she is that.
She is a tough rider. She really is. She works very, very hard. She practices a lot. She does a lot of the work herself. She's, you know, got a lot of horses, and sometimes a kid with a lot of horses lets other people do a lot of the groundwork. But she's hands-on with every single one of these horses, and she is just one of the nicest people too. I adore being around her, and I cheer for her because she's just a great person.
Well, a good round there. Just the one rail load for
Four
Caroline
jumping
Martin.
and no time for Pebbly Maximus in the time of 90 with Caroline Martin. Gives her a 3-day total of 74.2, and that drops her down potentially 3 places. And on course now, number 129, Sir Oberon, ridden by Ellen Dougherty-Hume from Dallas, Texas. Sir Oberon, a 12-year-old thoroughbred Holsteiner gelding. Combination finished here 3rd in the 3-star last year. They're aiming for the Rolex Kentucky 3-day event in the spring. They were 12th after the dressage with 50.6, 20 jumping and 29.6 time penalties on the cross country. Gives them now 21st place and 100.2 for the 2 days.
So Ellen with the Holsteiner just had the one glance off across the country yesterday. 3rd here last year in the 3-star. An experienced horse, not a rider I know an awful lot about, but I'm sure you do.
Yeah, Ellen, she is based in Texas, so she is teaches a lot and has to work pretty hard to have the time off to come and campaign this horse on the East Coast. She's aiming for Rolex, so she has come to do this as part of her prep. So she has to stay home in Texas a lot, and then she just sort of pops out for some of these bigger events. You may have heard she was married at Rolex last year, so she and her husband David O'Connor did the ceremony, and she did it on the Friday night before the cross country.
I did read about that actually, and what a great story that was. And good to get the 20 penalties out of the way here before you go to Rolex.
8 jumping and no time
good to get
for
the
Sir
dust
Oberon
off.
and Ellen Dougherty-Hume. Gives her a 3-day total of 108.2. At the arena now, number 124. .124 is Blackfoot Mystery, owned by the Blackfoot Syndicate, LLC. Blackfoot Mystery, 11-year-old thoroughbred gelding, ridden by Kelly Prather from Bodega, California. They were 7th after the dressage with 48.6 penalties, a stop on the cross country for 20 penalties and 31.2 time penalties. Has her now in 20th place with 99.8 for the 2 days.
So Kelly and Blackfoot Mystery just looking a little bit hairy and scary so far, oh, Max.
Yeah, she just got down that line a bit too quietly and needed to move up, and that's backed him off a bit at 2, and then again at 3. It looks like she's got him back in front of her leg again. Kelly's got some really nice up-and-coming horses. We're looking for some great things from her, but it looks like this one's just a bit backed off today.
Not really travelling from her leg, and as you say, it's quite difficult around this track as well. Once you lose a little bit of confidence, to get that back.
It really is, especially that early in the course, and she's having to really work. She's doing a great job, but she's really having to work to keep him going and to keep his confidence up.
So Blackfoot Mystery is coming to the end of the show jumping track, but this difficult line now down the combination, and she'll really need just to get that confidence back up. And she's riding a sensible round.
She definitely is. Yep, she's definitely recomposed herself, which is something you always look for in a younger up-and-coming rider like Kelly, is that she's gotten it back together again, and she's actually getting this done. And again, you just have to get it done. You've got what you got on those days, so you got to make the best of it.
8 jumping penalties and no time, in the time taken of 91 for Blackfoot Mystery and Kelly Prather.
So Jacob Fletcher up next. Jacob with Atlantic Domino. Jacob's got a lot of good horses as well.
That gives
He's
them a total of 107.8.
got a nice team of horses.
He definitely has. He spent the year in Europe.
On course now is Fletcher Farms Atlantic Domino, a 10-year-old Irish gelding, ridden by Jacob Fletcher from North Little Rock, Arkansas.
He's definitely one to keep an eye on. He is going to help be part of the base of a U.S. team eventually. He's got all the support and the backing and the talent. He works very, very hard. He had a great year in England learning. I think he was with Kevin McNabb, if I'm not mistaken. And he's got a great group of horses and a nice kid, and rides quite well. This looks like it's going quite well so far. Don't want to jinx him though.
Yeah, he was based with Kevin McNabb, and he's a very cool customer and good under pressure as well. He actually bought a young horse off of my partner over in the UK to add to his team, Roberto Scalisi, the Italian young rider, but not seen that horse out for a little bit. But he has got some great horses coming up through the levels.
Oh, definitely, and this is a really good horse. I think he just had a silly glance off yesterday, and but this horse is really stepping up today, and he's sort of proving himself to for people to open their eyes and take a look at him. So really, really impressive round today. Really nice.
Yeah, a really good round, and I think that was our first clear round. Am I right?
I believe so.
And a clear round for Atlantic Domino and Jacob Fletcher in a time of 89.
So that clear round
90.8 for the
confirmed.
3 days. And to jump now, number 115, Cape Town, owned and ridden by Jenny Armstrong from Sweden. She resides in Apopka, Florida. They completed the 3-star CCI at Bromont in Quebec last year, hoping to compete at the Rolex Kentucky 3-day event this year. They're sponsored by Voltaire and Mobile Horse Supply. 28th after the dressage was 73.8, no jumping, and 16 time on the cross country has them in 18th place with 89.8.
So Jenny
Cape Town and Jenny Armstrong from Sweden.
Jenny Armstrong from Sweden with Cape Town. This is a former racehorse, and he really wanted to get on with the job in the dressage on Friday. Got very excited, and hence the dressage score of 73.8. But Jenny's got a good team as well, and there's some very experienced riders in this 3-star here at Red Hills.
This is a really great group of riders here at Red Hills this year. Again, most of their people are bringing out their good horses to sort of get the dust off, have a good run, for the horses to see a bit of atmosphere to get ready for what's going to come this spring. This is an enormous horse. Jenny looks tiny on it. She is tiny, but this is also an enormous horse. So I can see when it would get big in the dressage, it would get very big for her.
It certainly did, and Jenny, I mean, she's a very cool rider as well, and Cape Town just unfortunately lost the plot slightly in the dressage. And a lot of riders, they're aiming for the Rolex, but also the Pan Am Games are on their way as well.
Yes, the Pan American Games is 2 very different paths for these horses, as the Pan American Games are only a 2-star, not a 4-star. So there's definitely different paths, although I believe the Americans are going to be taking some top horses. Oh, what a pity, just the last rail down. Taking some better horses just so they can get their qualification for the Olympics, because that's a bit of a bugaboo
For jumping
for them
and
right now.
on the time allowed of 93 for Jenny Armstrong from Sweden with Cape Town.
So Carl Slezak now for Canada
93.8 for the 3 days.
with Yoshi.
And at the arena now is number 131, Yoshi, owned and ridden by Carl Slezak from Tottenham, Ontario, Canada. Yoshi, a 9-year-old Canadian sport horse. Carl Slezak, a member of the Canadian equestrian team, was 27th after the dressage with 62.6. No jumping and 22.8 time penalties on the cross country. Has them just out of the ribbons, now in 17th place with 89.
So Carl, another one with that blew up in the dressage on Friday. It was quite atmospheric in here with 4 or 5 arenas going on at the same time. But he's good under pressure as well. And Yoshi, you saw, just had the Drunken Oxer down, and it's quite an ugly fence to ride to.
It is not the nicest, and you don't actually get quite a very good approach to it either. That's obviously part of the test of the show jumping phase, is to get these riders to ride well in between. And I think some riders are actually trying to put an extra stride in, and they're getting to the base of that when it's actually really quite wide. You need a bit of pace to get that done. It looks like Carl's finding his rhythm now and is settling into a much nicer round.
Really tries over his fences, this little horse. He's not very tall, is he?
No, not very tall at all. He's a funny little horse. He was very quick on the nifty on the cross country, but doesn't look the easiest to ride for sure, and Carl's does a great job with him.
Well, another one just to have the one fence down, we think, 4 to add. So every fence down is 4 to add, and the time allowed is 90 odd seconds. And for every second over the time, it's 1
no time for Yoshi
each second
and
over
Carl
the time.
Slezak from Canada. That gives them an even 97 penalties for the 3 days.
So a new surface
at the arena
here.
now is number 127, Jollybo, 11-year-old British sport horse, owned by Sport Horse Ponies UK and ridden by Justine Dutton from Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. She's from Great Britain.
We're trying not to talk over him.
They were 21st after the dressage with 60.4 penalties, no jumping and 26 time. Has them now in the ribbons in 16th place with 86.4.
So as I was saying, new surface here this year, and I know the riders were showing quite a lot of concern about the surface. It's crushed granite, and it's just on top of sand, but it seems to have ridden on the whole fairly well.
I think the riders are pleasantly surprised. It's always hard when you put a new surface down because it takes a while for it to establish itself and really set in. But these guys have worked tirelessly. The volunteers and the city have really worked tirelessly to make this all happen. And they're in there raking in between each horse and making sure that these riders and horses have the best footing possible. So I think it's actually, you know, obviously the weather today is spectacular, but when the weather's not so good and they're jumping on the grass, it's tough on these horses, especially on a third day when they can be a bit tired. So I think overall the riders are pleasantly surprised with all this.
And I know for the dressage, there was a lot of rain on Thursday, and there were no puddles. It drained really well, and I think the rain actually helped it, didn't it?
Oh, I believe so too. You know, this just looks like it needs a lot more rain and just another year. And I think in a year they're going to be able to work it correctly and have it quite good. But yeah, I think the riders are pretty happy with it.
Well, Justine's ridden a good round with Jollybo. Had one fence down. I think she just had the one fence down. And that
no time in a time of
confirmed
90
over
for
my
Jollybo
shoulder.
and Justine Dutton from Great Britain.
From
90.4 for the 3 days. And I'd just like to remind everybody, at the Winner's Circle, you still have time to join the Winner's Circle, sponsored by the Gem Collection. The Winner's Circle is easy. Buy a tag with a horse number on it for $25. Wear your number, cheer for your horse, and monitor the scores. Everyone has a chance to win. A drawing will be held, and if your number is picked, you will be the winner. The grand prize is a pearl necklace provided by Gem Collection, valued at $695. You can visit the front door of the sponsors tent to join the Winner's Circle. And at the arena now, number 123, Rachel McDonough from Toronto, Ontario, with Irish Rhythm. Irish Rhythm, a 16-year-old thoroughbred gelding. They were 25th at the Rolex Kentucky 3-day event last year, shortlisted for the Canadian team. Irish Rhythm is only 15-1, and his nickname is Mighty Mouse. They've been together for 10 years, and Irish Rhythm is an off-the-track thoroughbred. They finished the dressage in 25th place with 65.2 penalties, no jumping, and 15.2 time. Has them now in 15th place with 80.4 for the 2 days. Irish Rhythm and Rachel McDonough from Canada.
We've got Rachel starting her course. Rachel is down from...
So we have 12 left to jump in our 3-star. We'll have the awards for the 3-star. Course will be set for the 2-star and then open for walking.
Rachel comes down from, I believe, the Ontario area, and she comes down and bases herself at Jen and John Holling's farm in Ocala for the winter. Long trek down, but with these guys wanting to be competitive and get to Rolex, they sort of put their lives on hold to come down and really prepare for these bigger events. She looks like she's getting into a good rhythm here with her horse. The time so far seems to be pretty easy to make, so some of these riders are taking a little bit extra time and making a bit wider turns. That one just got away from her, and the triple combination coming in seemed to look through the whole line. She just has the one left. It looks like just the 2 down for her. She should be happy to get that under her belt and on to the next.
Eight jumping and no time penalties for Irish Rhythm and Rachel McDonough.
Well,
Gives her a
Dharma
3-day
Widstrand
total of
up next with the
88.4.
Relentless Pursuits. We've been given permission to talk over him a little bit, so we've got a little bit more freedom now. And Dana with a 62.2 dressage, very good round across the country yesterday. Just added 11.2 time to their dressage, and Relentless Pursuit had he actually looked fantastic. Scopy.
This is a wonderful horse, and Dana's worked very, very hard. She's had this since it was a very young horse, and she's really produced it. She actually used to be a
at the
working
arena now,
student
number
and worked for Mark
130.
Weisbecker, who's one of our officials this weekend. And the horse had an injury and took some time off, and she took some time
Dana
off. And she's
Widstrand
back
from
again.
Raleigh,
So it's
North
actually really fun
Carolina,
to see her back,
with
and it
Relentless
is a great
Pursuit.
little horse.
Relentless Pursuit, a 19-year-old thoroughbred gelding. They completed at Rolex last year, and here they were 22nd after the dressage with 62.2 penalties, no jumping, and 11.2 time penalties. Has them now tied for 11th with 73.4. Relentless Pursuit and Dana Widstrand.
So we're not far away from the top 10, and we've already seen Caroline Martin go out of order. She was lying in 10th place, so Dana lying in equal 11th. And already, it's a very twisty track, and quite a lot of places to just come off of your mark, isn't? There's a lot of places that you can lose time as well, but the time not too tight so far.
The time's quite generous for sure, but there's definitely a lot of related distances that if you get into a line wrong, it's going to really affect the entire line. So everything is obviously on good riding, good forward riding.
And Max, have you walked around this track? Have you? I mean, it's not changed too much from the 1 and the 2-star, or the 1-star earlier on,
And a clear round
and the
for
2-star
Relentless
later.
Pursuit and
But,
Dana Widstrand.
did you walk the distances?
Giving them
I
a
did not
3-day
walk the
total of
distances, but I've had a good look at a
73.4.
lot of the riders,
That keeps
some
them
of the
in
riders how
11th
it's riding,
place.
and They just said it's a little bit on an open, you know, some of the 1 to 2 can either be, you know, I haven't really counted the strides, but it's an and or. It can be this or that type of thing. So the riders actually have to really make a decision and stick to their plan. That's a big thing, and to really think about where they're going.
And
but
on
this is
course
the
now,
highest
number
level. It should be
122.
something that they need to.
More
that are really
inspiration,
gonna
a
test them.
9-year-old thoroughbred gelding, owned and ridden by Holly Jack Smither from Pemberton, British Columbia. Another off-the-track thoroughbred.
So now we've got the Canadian rider, Holly Jack Smither. Another one that had a storming round across the country yesterday, and real testament to course designer Hugh Lahore, who's moved the cross country over from the other side of the park to be all under one roof, as it were. But it rode beautifully, the cross country yesterday, Max.
It's a very tough piece of land to design on, and Hugh's done a fantastic job. The state and the organizers done an amazing job with the footing. The footing is the best it's ever been. I've been coming here since 2002, and for sure it's the best I've seen the horses at night after the cross country. It was a great course. The horses seemed to do very, very well over it. It was a nice day to watch.
Well, another good round there for the Canadian rider. I think that may have, was that a clear round as well?
4 jumping.
Just had the one
in a time of
the
81 for Holly Jack
us,
Smither
but,
from Canada.
It was a
More
beautiful round.
inspiration.
This horse's first season at this level. So
77.4 for the 3 days.
This is the second ride for Warner Gibbon, Warner and Van Diver. Am I saying that right, Van Diver? Van Diver? What is it? Do you know?
It depends on where you are and who's announcing.
And at the arena now.
I like that
his
synopsis.
Second ride.
There's a horse in the advanced that I called Copernicus for quite a long time, until somebody told me that it was actually called Copernicus.
Van Diver and
I think Copernicus is way more amusing.
24th after the dressage with 63.3. No jumping and 10.8 time on the cross country. Has them in 13th place with 74.1.
So if you haven't
he can't afford a
already
rail
guessed,
to stay in 13th.
Warner, Dutch rider in the orange team colours, and you certainly don't miss him coming across the field.
No, we certainly don't. He's adopted a very, very bright, almost a hunting orange, his signature color. So not in a snowstorm at night would you miss him.
And had a good round on his first horse. I think he had 4 fences down, but it was a really good round, and he's building a good team now.
He really is, and it seems to have figured out his second time around, because this horse is really, oh, I just jinxed him, sorry. But this horse seems to be jumping much better than his first horse, and I think this horse, if I'm not mistaken, he's had this horse for a little bit longer, and so he had a partnership with this horse.
And it's all about teamwork, and you can see this horse is ears pricked, knows what the job is in hand. But it's a certain horse, isn't it, to show the final day. Again, end of 3 days, tired, a little bit flat after running across the country yesterday, and we're looking more and more into the climax on the final day of the show jumping. What are your thoughts on the show jumping? A lot of riders would like to see the country run last.
I know the riders would like to see that, but in reality, when you this is your last phase, and a lot of times we don't get to practice jumping a horse on the third day, whether your horse is tired on the third day, whether your horse is rank on the third day, because a lot of these horses, especially the thoroughbreds, have just been asked to go very, very fast, and
now from Canada
this
is
phase is more
High
about
and Selena
accuracy and their nimbleness and their training. Is can they come back? Can they jump higher? Can they do these things that you're asking them to do? So I know the riders probably like that, but I think this is very good practice. It's also a little bit more exciting for the spectators, especially the people that maybe don't know eventing. It's easier for them to understand that a pole falls down, and that's why they're not winning. So in some ways, I like this traditional format myself. I think it's quite nice, and it's also a little bit nice for the horses because we travel home after this. So for these horses to have to travel right after the cross country, I think is very difficult for
Selena
them.
and Foxwood
And I
High
think
were
that's
18th
actually
after the
what's led to a lot of
dressage
our
with
attrition rate over the last few
57.7
years.
penalties. No
I
jumping.
think that's a
and
very good point
12.4
actually,
time
and
penalties.
I mean I love this
Gives
way
them
round of running
a two-day total
the
of
traditional
70.1
3-day
and
format.
in
But like you say,
ninth
you know, you
place.
go to the big championships, you go to the big 3 days that run the CCIs,
can't
they all
afford a
run
rail
with the
to
show
stay
jumping on the last
in
day,
ninth.
and you get to know your horses and get to know actually what have I got on the last day.
It is critical to know what you got the last day, especially when you're riding for your country. We got Selena O'Hanlon here, who rode this horse last year at the World Championships for Canada, and she's, I don't want to jinx her, but so far she's having a fantastic round. The show jumping was a bit of a bugaboo for her there, but right now Woody looks like he is fit and well. It's also part of the whole horsemanship, is how fit is your horse? Is your horse fit enough to get there on the third day and to be well? And she should be absolutely thrilled to death with this round. This was fantastic. So she's looking really happy about this.
Well, considering that the show jumping was slightly the
And a clear
Achilles heel,
round.
that was a really,
Time of
really great
88.
round. And I think a lot of those people
For
that are
Foxwood
wanting the
High
cross
and
country to
Selena
run last are those
O'Hanlon.
that have got the lame horses,
Keeping them
perhaps.
in ninth
It
place
could be the lame
with
horses or the ones that are
70.1.
really, really tough after the cross country, for sure. No, I think this
And on
is
course
it's
now,
nice
number
to see this,
133,
to see this
Caroline
format
Martin
again.
with Quantum Solace.
I do
Quantum
understand how
Solace,
some people are frustrated.
known
The horse
as
has a heel
Nacho,
grab or something very
is a
minor that's going to keep you
10-year-old
out of the
Argentinian
show
thoroughbred.
jumping. It's a bit frustrating, but I think it's a thing you
Left
need to
Miami
practice and
Beach,
something that we
Florida.
don't get to practice enough.
I think it is
17th
nice
after
you
the dressage
brought up
with
the
56.5
spectators.
penalties,
It's
no
much
jumping and
much better for the
11.6
spectators.
time.
And somewhere like
Has them now in 8th place with 68.1.
somewhere
And she
very
can't afford a
nearly
rail
ran
to
somebody
stay
over.
in 8th.
But somewhere like here, like Red Hills, that runs in between the trees, it's quite a difficult spectator course to see everything. But at least here in the main arena, the stadium jumping, you can see it, and it brings it to a climax.
Oh, it most certainly does. I mean, the cross country, it is spread out, and so you get to go watch a complex or something else, but you don't actually get to see the whole course as you would in many other venues. There's not sort of a great vantage viewing point. But they've done a really nice job here with the sponsor tent, because the sponsors are getting to watch the dressage, the show jumping, and there was some very good cross country complexes that were set up right here in the middle of this arena. So for them, it was fantastic. But yeah, I agree. It makes it very, very exciting. These guys don't get to practice under pressure enough. So this is a great way early in the season. It does count, but it doesn't count as much as your big CCI. So it's a good way to emulate that.
And the pressure thing, one fence down is 4 penalties, and we've just seen Caroline have the first part of the triple down. And 1 fence, 4 penalties, it's very expensive. We've got 5 riders at the top of the leaderboard. At the top 5, there's not a fence between them.
No, it's actually really quite exciting. They used to have a car for the first place rider, which would have made it very exciting, but not this year. But yes, exactly. Every single rail, every second over is going to be very, very expensive, and is definitely going to count. Again, that's sometimes something we come across in these big championships.
Caroline Martin.
This is a very, very exciting finish.
68.1 for the 3 days.
And the
Keeps
course
them in
designers
8th
are
place.
rubbing their hands together for a really exciting finish here.
In the arena now, number 119, Simply Priceless, owned by Jill Hopcroft. Simply Priceless, a 14-year-old Australian thoroughbred gelding, ridden by Elisa Wallace. They were 8th at the 3-star at Beaumont last year, and at Chat Hills, also in the CIC, they were 3rd.
Elisa Wallace now
sponsored by
jumping
Custom Saddlery, Treadstep
with
Ireland, Charles Owens
Simply
helmets.
Priceless. Ooh, really made a hash of the first part of the double at 4. Looked
They were
very
20th
uncomfortable,
after the
so
dressage
she's
with
going to have to now
60.1
keep her
penalties
wits about her and
and
just try and
5.2
get the
time
confidence
penalties
up. He
on
jumped
the
out of the double
cross-country,
quite well, though, considering
moving
how badly he
themselves
jumped in.
up to
It's a very
7th
clever horse that gets to do that, but she's also sort of
65.3.
letting him do his thing at the same time. She looks like she's gotten herself back
And
together
she couldn't
again quite
afford
well.
that rail just a moment
And
ago.
Lisa does some really neat things with Mustangs, wild Mustangs. She does a lot of the challenges and stuff, so she's a bit of a multi-discipline in some ways at this too. So she's had this horse for a little bit now and has gotten to be quite a good partnership with it. Doesn't look like it's maybe the most careful show jumper, which is frustrating for her, I'm sure, but I think she's enjoying the experience with this horse.
It's a lovely looking horse, and he really tries, and then he just all of a sudden just kind of gives up on her.
He does get a bit careless, and it's probably a bit frustrating. But again, that might be something she doesn't see until the 3rd day. Might be something that she's learning about this horse on the 3rd day.
Well, certainly for us, for the live streaming, and we hope you're enjoying the coverage here at Red Hills International for the CIC 3-star. For the coverage going live, it really does bring it to a very exciting climax. And as we said, and Max has brought it up as well, not one fence between those top 5 riders.
No, and actually it's a really, really excellent group of riders. Allie Knowles, Marilyn Little, Jenny Brannigan, Liz Halliday-Sharp, and Lauren Kiefer. They're all
drops her down
on
2
excellent
places.
Jumpers. So it actually, it's theirs to lose. So it could be
here,
very, very exciting. It's going to certainly put the pressure on Lauren to get this all done. Her owners are here.
And our next jump is number 132.
In Louisiana, their son is competing in the 2-star, and the owner was a longtime rider for Jack LeGoff back in the day. So lots of pressure and lots of excitement.
Well, another rider that could be in the top 5 was Liz Halliday-Sharp's second horse, or her best horse, really, Fernhill by Night, which was the leader after the dressage, and then had a very uncharacteristic run out very early on, and she retired, just saving him for another day, but she could have 2 in the top 3. But it goes so quickly, doesn't it?
That's the way the sport is. It's one of those things you get a little bit, especially at this higher level, you get just a little bit off your line, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So, yeah, we got Ellie McPhail here, who's having a great round so far. This is a new-ish horse to her. Seems to be a great little jumper. Really quick around the cross country, just 5.2 time penalty. So, that was too bad. She just got up underneath that, but she'll get it together. Ellie had just in the 3-star Eloquence, and I think a silly tumble off of him, but she seems to be recovered fine from that.
So just the 1 fence down, I think 1
for jumping, and
1 fence down for
Eleanor McPhail and True
Ellie,
Dynamite.
and it was an unfortunate rail, but still quite new, and we've talked about it, we've touched on it a couple of times. Finding out what your horse is like on the last day, and that's something that she will learn. She'll get masses of experience from that.
Oh, most certainly.
And
most
that
certainly.
drops
I mean,
her down
she's
one
still a
place.
younger rider, up and coming. I say younger because, you know,
Jumping
none of
now
us
in
are that
5th
young
place
anymore.
is Sound Prospect and Ellie Knowles
she's
Paris,
a great,
Kentucky.
Great rider, and
Sound
she's hungry, and
Prospect,
she'll
a
get that fixed and
13-year-old
sorted before the
thoroughbred.
next thing, which is quite exciting. Looks like we're starting back into the top 5 here. These ones that
They
are
finished
really costly
3rd at
rails
Rocking
here, so
Horse
this is
in
very
Ocala
exciting. Ellie Knowles, who's from
recently.
Lexington, Kentucky, who comes down for a little bit in the winter. Buck Davidson.
After the dressage with even
I believe this horse was quite good here last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Penalties on the cross country in 5th place now.
Well, he certainly hasn't lost any jump from going cross country yesterday, really getting up in the air, but just gives that little rub going into the double at 4. Well, I certainly got to jump in there, Max. And we've said not 1 fence. What does she start on? And lying in 5th place on a score of.
Competitors. We have 3 left to jump, and then the course will be set and open for walking, and we'll be jumping immediately after that.
Starting on a score of 60.8, and our leader is on 57.1. That now Lauren Kiefer and Checkmate, the little chestnut Checkmate, is lying at the head of the leaderboards. So 60.8 down to 57.1, so not 1 fence, and these are very crucial rounds as we move into the top 5 in the CIC 3-star, but a great round so far.
A fantastic round so far. If she jumps score, this is really going to put the pressure on the next 4. Fantastic. Clear round. That's excellent.
So the winner could come from any of these 5.
Yeah, that's true. That's the way this competition is. It can be very exciting. But this is someone who's no stranger to the show jumping ring and pressure.
60.8 and keeps them in 5th place. And at the arena now, number 125, Raylin Farms RF Quarterman, a 7-year-old Oldenburg gelding, ridden by Marilyn Little from Frederick, Maryland, at Raylin Farms.
So Marilyn,
the United States at the World Equestrian Games last summer.
Marilyn,
in
very
Normandy.
experienced rider. She's 16th in the FEI World Rankings.
International show jumper. She was 5th after the dressage with 47. No jumping, but 12.4 time penalties on the cross country. Has her in 4th place with 59.4. And she can't afford a rail.
She took a tumble yesterday across the country on another horse in the 3-star. Wasn't very sound this morning, and managed to convince Karen O'Connor to jog her horses this morning. She wasn't very sound, but managing to ride this round. And she's starting on a two-phase score of 59.4. She had a 12.4 time to her dressage score, and RF Quarterman is really jumping well so far in this round. And Marilyn, she's also a show jumper by right as well, isn't she?
She originally started her career as a show jumper, so this woman has gotten to jump a bazillion jumps in her lifetime. This is obviously her best phase, as she's obviously got a lot of practice in this, and she is, like I said, she has probably jumped more show jumps than all of these people on this property combined, and she's giving this horse a really nice ride. It's a newish horse to her. I believe she got it last summer, so it's actually a newish ride. I think it's new to this level, and she's giving it a really nice ride.
Well, it looked like a good clear round there, so really putting the pressure on the final 3 riders to go above her, and this is where it will all count.
For Marilyn Little and RF Quarterman, a clear round. 59.4 for the 3 days. Keeps them in 4th place.
We got Jenny Brannigan here, our fall 3-star champion,
in
with
3rd
her
place now.
horse Cambalda.
Number 135, owned by Nina Gardner from Pennsylvania, and ridden by Jenny Brannigan from West Grove, Pennsylvania. Cambalda, a 13-year-old Irish thoroughbred gelding. 8th after the dressage, 49.2, 9.2 time penalties on the cross country. In 3rd with 58.2 for the 2 days. Can't afford a rail.
So Jenny with Cambalda. This horse yesterday across the country really hung a couple of times, and you could just see coming from 2 to 3 he was hanging again. He's not, doesn't give her an easy ride.
Jenny works for every step and every ounce this horse gives her. She really she loves this horse. She's formed a really good partnership with him, but she works very hard. She believes in this horse. Her owners are here. Tim and Nina Gardner, 2 of the best people anybody could ever ask for to have as an owner. They're really fantastic people, and they've really taken Jenny on as fantastic supporters of hers. And she works very hard on this horse. It's not tough. So scrubbing is actually our phase for her with this horse. So she, very lucky there. Got 1 more to go. Don't look back, Jenny. Keep going. But yeah, she's based a little bit with Scott, my other half. She's been getting some show jumping help from him, so hopefully she jumps a clear route. Yes, excellent. Good for her. Good for Jenny. And I'm very happy for the owners. It's fantastic for them.
And owners are so important in this sport.
They are. We can't do anything without them. There's not a lot that the sport gives back financially, so we look for them for everything. Financial, emotional, everything.
In 2nd place now, number 134 is Halliday Sharp from Santa Fe, California, riding HHS Cooley, 11-year-old Irish sport horse gelding owned by Deborah Halliday. The horse has been competing extensively at the 3-star level. Liz Halliday also races sports car at the professional level, and also works in TV as a motorsports commentator and reporter. She was 3rd after the dressage with 43.4. Had 14.4 time penalties on the cross country, but that moved her up to 2nd, 57.8 for the 2 days, with nothing in hand.
Liz Halliday Sharp then, and HHS Cooley. And this a very good horse, and had a cracking round across the country. And you probably heard that Liz also races cars and also a presenter and commentator for the fast cars. No stranger to danger, this girl.
No, Liz is fantastic. She's an American, but has been basing herself in England for the last few years. She's here this year. We're having such a great time getting to know Liz, and she is an excellent competitor. But she's definitely a risk taker on many levels. So it's been fun to get to know her, and I think she's going to be a great person to push everybody to be a better competitor. So it's been fun to get to know her, and we're really glad that she's here.
Well, Liz based herself in the UK for some time when she came back to America for the winter, and she's having an amazing time and just jumped at it looked easy, effortless, clear round.
That was a fairly classy round. That was really fun to watch. I'm sure she's glad to have this horse back. He had a little bit of Checkmate's having a little bit of an issue. I'm sure she's happy to have him back. She was out for a year, and he looks to be on top form.
2015 Red Hills International Horse Trials.
Well, a brilliant round there for Liz Halliday-Sharp and HHS Cooley. But it is now down to the final rider, and all the pressure is on this girl, and it's Lauren Kiefer. Lauren, who of course won the advance just a little while ago with Veronica, and Max, who has a real soft spot for Veronica, and but it's Lauren Kiefer and Checkmate, and they start on a score of 57.1 and can't afford a rail down. It's a tense moment.
This is really quite exciting. Checkmate looks to be quite on the muscle as he's coming into the ring too, so hopefully he will settle down. He's spooking and being a bit unsettled, so hopefully he can peel it together, and Lauren can keep herself together as well.
Could cost her $2,000.
So Nigel's just pointing out that a rail could cost her $2,000, probably something she doesn't want to hear as she starts her show jumping round. He's being a bit of a monkey, isn't he, so far? She's having to ride him.
He is a bit he's a bit of a strange horse. I do know this horse personally. We call him the water boy because he's just a little bit he's very unique, and he is a bit of a social misfit, but it's a very cool horse. And the owners are really neat people, so it would be really great to see him do well here.
And Lauren, another one that is sure to be on those teams in years to come.
She is such a cool competitor. She's a very, very good horseman, and she's learning how to be a very good competitor now as well. It's been fun to watch her grow up. She started working for me when she was 17, and so I've been really lucky to be able to know this kid. And you know, she's a person that I would, if I had all the money in the world and needed to buy a horse for someone, I would buy one for Lauren in a second, because she's the whole package. She's a good horseman, she's a good person, she's great with her owners. Just one left here, and fingers crossed. It would be so fun for these owners who have driven out from Louisiana to see their son ride and to see their horse go, for them to be here for a big win. Excellent, excellent.
Well, she's done it. Lauren Kiefer and Checkmate are the 2015 winners of the CIC 3-star. And Max, that was an amazing final bit to the show jumping. And what a round from Lauren.
Oh, it was amazing. She really is such a cool competitor. That horse was being such a monkey. And she really just competed, and she got in there and didn't let it affect her, and she knows what she had on the day. And sometimes that is the big thing about being a competitor, is to ride what you have on that day. And she really just rode beautifully. She didn't let that bother her. She had all the pressure in the world on her, and she just sat up and did her thing. And it's very exciting to see that part of her develop.
Well, we saw her when she was riding her round from fence 2 to 3. She got her stick out and just said, "Oi, stop being, listen to me, please. It's a crucial round. Listen, behave."
Exactly. No, she really has learned how to do that. But yeah, he was being a bit silly. But she's really has come on to be such a good competitor, and I'm sure that the owners are going to be thrilled. And she's been, it's a good thing visually for the selectors, some of the selectors that are here, and to prove that she can take the pressure and she can be that cool under pressure as well. So it's a great day for the team. Oh, there we go. Checkmate is standing in the air. That's pretty exciting. He's very proud of himself. Celine O'Hanlon will be tickled to death with that clear round with her horse.
And somebody missing from the top 5 there, Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Davidson, Buck had a really odd day yesterday. I don't know what, poor Buck, he's so superstitious. After each ride that he had that was not very good, he went and changed his clothes, or changed his whip, or changed his helmet, or changed his saddle, or something. But for some reason, yesterday was just not his day. He had a couple of good rides on his younger horse. He's got a very nice one-star horse. The one that I believe was second in the one-star is an amazing, amazing horse. So a little bit of a disappointment for him. But yeah, it's interesting. It's sort of it's actually down to Werner. I believe it's all women.
It is all women, Max. All right. So we're bringing you live pictures from the CIC 3-star, the prize giving of the 3-star, and Lauren Kiefer out on top with checkmates. Liz Halliday-Sharp in second place with HHS Cooley. But I believe it's time to stand up for the national anthem of the United States for the winner of the 2015 Red Hills International.
Our first place winner receives a check for 2,000.
Maybe they're not.
Second 1,500, third 1,000.
We're talking money now.
Fifth 500, sixth 500, seventh 250, and eighth 250. And don't forget to make sure you come to the awards tent right here in front of you to pick up your checks. We also have the High Point Thoroughbred Award for this division, and that goes to Eleanor McPhail with riding True Dynamite, and the reserve award goes to Holly Jack Smither with More Inspiration. The 3-star was also a part of the Pro Tour series. And if the pictures have all been taken and checkmate is ready.
He's certainly ready.
Checkmate and Lauren Kiefer. Our winner in the 3-star, Elizabeth Halliday-Sharp and Cooley, Cambaldo and Jenny Brannigan, Marilyn Little and Quarterman, Sound Prospect and Ali Knowles, Eleanor McPhail and True Dynamite, Foxwood High and Selena O'Handler, Elisa Wallace and Simply Priceless, Relentless Pursuit and Dana Woodstrand, Caroline Martin and Pebbly Max.
Well, great pictures of the prize giving, and Lauren Kiefer will be coming around once more for lap of honour in the 3-star CIC 3-star. It's been an amazing competition, and Max, thank you very much for joining us here, and you've been brilliant with the show jumping. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been a very fun afternoon. Thank you for having me. It's been fun to work with you guys.
Well, thanks also to What's Up Media, who've produced this with Equa Ventures, who've done an amazing job to go live and live stream here. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope to go live again at Ocala for the 3-star in just around 4 weeks' time in the middle of April. Into April already. But Max, thanks once again, and signing off, and very good afternoon. Thank you very much.